It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for Season 10 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're going to talk about how will Alpha die. Now, this is not really a spoiler. Every villain dies on The Walking Dead, and Alpha's time is just about up. That said, Negan was an exception. He's the only villain they did not kill when his main arc was completed. But anyway, so it's not really a spoiler that Alpha will die, but how will she die? That's where the spoilers could come up. We're going to dive into heavy comic spoilers at this point, so if you are not interested, either you have not read the comics and are a TV show only fan, or you're just not caught up, you may not want to watch this video because it will spoil a lot of important stuff for you. So with that spoiler out of the way, I definitely think that Alpha is losing her head by the end of the season. I think we've seen way too many hints now that she's going to get her head cut off. I feel confident saying that that's going to be, where they're going with it, and that's going to be my prediction. For non-comic readers, I'm guessing you don't care about spoilers because you're still here, but let me put some context into this before continuing. Alpha gets decapitated by Negan, and he delivers her head to Rick in the comics. It's a vicious, awesome, crazy twisted turn of events in the comics, and it seems like they are gonna follow that story based on everything they've set up between Negan and the Whispers, him going to the Whispers camp and all of that. So going back to what I was saying, she's definitely getting her head cut off. There's just been too many Easter eggs and clues hinting that she will get the head cut off scene from the comics in some way. In the recent teasers they've released, we've seen Alpha all disoriented and everything, and she was like paranoid, holding her head tight and everything. A Walking Dead Twitter page even spelled it out for us and wrote she's losing her head, which was kind of funny. And also in another teaser we saw the heads on spikes again, but this time it was Alpha's masks hanging on the spikes. So those were huge clues that point towards Alpha actually getting her head cut off by the end of this season. So because of that, I think they're definitely going to follow that story, and they're going to have that exact kind of moment. Well, similar moment, because we don't know how she'll get her head cut off. There's two big ways they could do it. But before I get into that, I do still think that Negan will be the one involved. He will be the one that's going to do it, like the comics. Yes, that's a bit bittersweet because as cool as it is to get that iconic comic scene, Carol won't have a part in this. So that's disappointing because they've been teasing and setting up this rivalry and this head-on collision in a way between Alpha and Carol, which we may not get. They can still utilize Carol though, and I'll get into that in a bit, but they can't really have Carol being the one that does the deed if they end up giving that to Negan. Now, going back to what I said, there's two ways they can have Alpha die and lose her head. The first way they could do it is to remix the comic version, where Negan decapitates her head, but this time he puts her head on a spike as a way to deliver a strong statement to the Whispers, and maybe even Beta specifically, if he's not gonna be secretive about it like he was in the comics. Or the second way they could do it, which is pretty much exactly like the comics, they could have Negan decapitating her and taking her head to a community leader, like the comics. Now in the comics it was Rick, but since Rick is not around, it would have to be either Daryl, Michonne, or Maggie. Now Michonne may not even be in the story at this point, or at that point, and she may have her own story with Virgil, and she might not be part of the Whispers arc any longer, which I think is a little underwhelming and kind of odd. But Michonne may not be in the story, so let's put Michonne away for now. They could give that to Daryl, like they could have Negan bringing Alpha's head to Daryl, and it'll be a cool remix given their history together. And they can even have Carol tag along in this story as well, and have Negan bring Alpha's head to the both of them, Carol and Daryl. Or they could have Negan bring the head to Maggie. Now we do know Maggie's coming back in the second half. We don't know when she's gonna come back. We don't know if she's gonna have a part in the Whispers arc or not, but assuming that she will, it'll be interesting because given their history together, Negan and Maggie, it could be very, very interesting. I've talked about this before, but the Whisperers killed Jesus, Enid, and Tara. All of them who Maggie was extremely close with. So Negan would certainly be giving a strong statement to Maggie by single-handedly killing and bringing her the head of the person responsible for all of this chaos, death, and destruction in the time that she was gone. Now, if they do end up having Negan put Alpha's head on a pike, they may as well go the extra mile and have him put Alpha and Beta's heads there to mark their new border, just like Alpha did. And, they could have Negan say to the Whisperers, hey, listen, either stay on your side and continue your lifestyle or join us and live a better life. Now that could get a little tricky because you could have another Beta or Alpha type of person taking over. Negan knows too well about that. After all, he had to deal with someone like that himself. Of course, I'm talking about Simon. Now they could remix it a little bit more and have that take place, but have certain people join them, but certain people be hostile towards them, and that would be what takes them to the Whisper War story. Like that could be the official start of the Whisper story. We also don't know what role Gamma is going to play in all of this, whether she's going to be a part of it or not, whether she's going to be on the good side or on the bad side, whether she's going to be loyal to Alpha or whether she's going to, be a rat and go against Alpha and, help the survivors. Given what they did with Lydia, bringing her back and having Gamma react to seeing Lydia, how she reacted, I think that it's more likely at this point that Gamma is going to be on the good side and she's going to play a story where she's going to be an asset to the survivors or for the survivors. Now, I already talked about this on a separate video, but I do think that Gamma will have a role in killing Beta. Now, she might have a small role, but I do think that she will have a role. And also, I do think that Alpha will be the one that kills Gamma. So that was my prediction. And we still need to keep Gamma in our conversation. She might have a big role coming up. And, we shouldn't just completely ignore Gamma, because, there has to be a reason why they introduced another named Whisper other than Alpha, Beta, and Lydia. Like, there has to be a reason. It can't be that they just did that for no reason, because they didn't need to do that. They didn't do it in the comics. Yes, it's good for fleshing out the Whisper story, showing the hierarchy and everything, but they don't need to do it. Like, I think the reason why they did it is because they have something planned for Gamma in terms of how the Whisperers are taken down. But let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Do you think Alpha will die this half season? If you do, how do you think she'll die? Do you think she'll lose her head like the comics? And also, do you think they'll follow the comic route where Negan will just deliver her head to a community leader? Or do you think that they'll have a remix where Negan puts her head on a spike? And what do you think about my prediction that if they do that, then they could have Negan make another new border that separates the two communities, Whispers and the other survivors? And also, if you think Negan will bring Alpha's head to the survivors and to a community leader, who do you think he'll bring it to? Do you think he'll bring it to Michonne, Daryl, Carol, or Maggie? But that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this video. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads.